Hello and welcome to Tough Talking Thursday on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be looking at responses from opposition political parties to the President's State of the Nation address. We heard their response from the Unity Party delivered by Cornelius Krua. We also heard the response from the Liberty Party delivered by Steve Zago, and the response from the Alternative National Congress delivered by its political leader, Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. I have invited Carl Formulet, our public policy analyst here on Focus on Liberia, to do the analysis. Carl, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
It is always my pleasure to be here.
We also have our chief political analyst who has just returned from Monrovia not too long ago. He has some time at Jamaica Resort in the presence of the president, Mr. Wilmot Weah Cooney. Mr. Cooney, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Always a pleasure.
At the beginning of the show, we played the responses from three opposition political parties. What I want us to look at will be the timing of their responses, the people or the ones that are giving those responses, their delivery and style. We'll look at substance. Where did they agree with the president and where they differ? What is their own State of the Nation address? What do they think the State of the Nation is, and how accurate is their assessment of the State of the Union? Did they provide any or opt for any alternative pathways as to how this can be done? Mr. Cooney, let me hear from you first. On your initial response, listening to the opposition's response to President Weah's SONA.
Well, look, it's typical of what oppositions do in almost every time. They will always find problem with what the current government is doing. It's not unique to the current opposition. When the CDC was in opposition, they also had a rebuttal to what the government at the time presented as their set of accomplishment. So, I mean, this is expected. But as we deep dive into it, you look at the whole thing, I mean, it's so pathetic. I mean, all of the variables you listed, I mean, the presentation, the style, the substance, I am struggling here to really find any serious measure of the elements that we will review tonight. And so as we go on, we'll be very specific on some of the things. But I can just say that the fact that the president presented his message and the opposition responding, being hopeful and being always positive as I can be, I see our democracy functioning. And I hope that, the democratic space will continue to improve and we'll be able to have these kind of engagements. But as the show go on, we'll go to the specific of some of the variables that you outline for us to evaluate here tonight. You muted.
Thank you, Mr. Cooney. Let's go to Carl for her initial response to, I call them what remain of the CPP response to the State of the Nation.
I think the responses were very correct, but not necessarily as detailed as I would have expected. I would have expected statistics, very specific, numbers in very specific detail in response. I would like to have heard, the numbers, infant mortality rates, rapes, data that's available to the public. I thought would have been nice to put into the presentations, the rebuttal. Actual numbers, figures representing, saying, oh, the economy, there's been zero growth, illustrate that with actual numbers. illustrate that with actual figures, which are also available. I thought that altogether, the responses were certainly better than the President's State of the Union address, but I don't see that the kind of effort went into those responses that I would have liked. It doesn't take a lot of effort to come up with actual numbers and data to support your rebuttal, and they could have effectively, exposed the failures of the administration had they been more data specific and number specific.
Thank you so much. And we'll also be calling on our viewers, our audience, to give their take on the opposition response. We see that you can do that through comments, and we'll open the phone lines in 30 minutes so that you can be part of it. We want to evaluate the delivery, the style, the substance, where they differ with the president, and how they offer alternative pathways to realizing where we all want the country to be. So again, welcome to Focus on Liberia, Tough Talking Thursday. Mr. Cooney, let me go back to you and say, well, you say every opposition have to respond. We see that for the Liberty Party, they have Mr. Steve Zago, who many call the chairman of the Yombly wing of the Liberty Party, delivering. For Unity Party, it was Cornelia Crua, who served in, I think, the Public Affairs Committee or some deputy public affairs person. And then we have the Mr. Cummings himself, the political leader. What do you make of the timing of their responses? I think Liberty Party and Unity Party came a day after, and Mr. Cummings came, I think, like a week after. What do you make of the timing and the people that are delivering these responses? What's your take?
Well, I think the timing kind of reflects some of the laziness that my sister here mentioned, because, State of the Union is a current thing. The activities or event like the State of the Union should be in the political calendar of political parties. These are things you should expect, and you should make preparation for them. And given the way the opposition portrayed the country, the kind of negativity, the kind of description they gave the country, that since the president, since the CDC government, nothing has actually happened in Liberia. You would think that, they will actually be ready immediately after the president message to provide the Liberian people with their own set of analysis. But to wait all of this time, it begs the question: were they really looking for something? Was it difficult to respond to? Certain things deserve instant responses. You're talking about a day, and then let's talk about a week. It taking a week to respond to a State of the Union, and then you come back, the response is as empty and just wordy and nothing. For example, somebody say, "Oh, the government asserts that the economy grew by 3.5%." You guys say, "No, the economy grew by 3.5%. The economy is sluggish." Then tell us why it is sluggish. You present no number, you present no data, you present no analysis. After a week, you only come and say this and that. You accuse the president of not telling us the truth, and you yourself, under the same breath, you start lying to the Liberian people. Things that are happening in the country, you refuse to acknowledge them, that they are happening, and you start your own kind of falsification of events of activities in the country. So it is really depressing, really, really depressing, that an opposition that has actually presented itself, as being this capable, being this competent, for them to come up with these lazy analysis, it's really shocking. And you're talking about the star. Look at the Unity Party presentation. It's like somebody giving some kind of remark to a house party. We got to take our people serious. You giving a response to the State of the Union, it's like people gather in some kind of house party. Then look at Liberty Party, the Youngly Kanga wing of the party. It appeared that guy is in some Kobo shop, talking. I don't want to be funny, but I mean, look at the environment. Look at the environment. It's like, there's some Kobo dinner going on, and then we'll look at the issues that he raised. Later on, we'll look at the issue. The only leader that came close to like anything official is Cummings. But look at the man, low energy, weak. It like, no, people can't even hear what he's saying. It's like he's being forced. It's like he's being dragged, to say something. Or maybe, perhaps, he's not even confident of what he's saying. But he just got to say something, So, I mean, all those things are communicated, and the Liberian people are looking at these things, Dennis. Like I say, we'll go to the specifics when we get there. But it is just so embarrassing, for that kind of presentation.
Thank you. Cole, what you make of the timing, the delivery, the style, and also the people that are responding?
I just think that, it was I think the opposition is preoccupied with things that are not necessary. And I think that that's part of the reason for the delayed delivery. I don't see anything wrong with the people who delivered. I think they all were far, far more articulate than the president was, all of them. And Mr. Cooney's description of Cummings is amusing because at least Mr. Cummings, could pronounce his words, but that's not, we don't love George Weah because he can pronounce words. We love him because he's a soccer superstar. We certainly don't love him because he's a good president. We love him because he's a national icon and a soccer hero. And, if you take a fish and judge the fish by its ability to fly, it's going to fail miserably. And so, I wish President Weah had allowed us to remember him as he was. This thing with Cummings not being, charismatic and or being, quiet, soft spoken, I don't, think that that matters. I don't think that Mr. Boykai is particularly charismatic. I don't think any of these people are particularly charismatic. Charisma is something that cannot be taught or learned, and it's not a measure, most importantly, of competence. Charisma has to do with your personality, and it has to do with, and a lot of charismatic people are incompetent and they're not very smart. So charisma is not a measure of leadership. I do wish, however, that the timing had been more swift. We already know the State of the Union. We don't need to wait for Weah to deliver. In past years, Wilmot Page did a really good job of putting the first rebuttal together, the first year of Weah's term. I mean, he was ready as soon as Weah dropped the mic. Wilmot Page was ready to spring on him, and in fact made alterations to the response while Weah was talking. So he not only had drafted and prepared a response, but he was sitting there listening to the president in real time and noting down things the president was saying wrong so that he could add that to his rebuttal. So not only did he prepare a speech, he edited it live while the president was talking. In the moment President Weah dropped the mic, he was ready to respond. And I think that was brilliant. I don't know if you consider Wilmot Page to be charismatic or not. I mean, some of that is a matter of opinion, but I do think he did a very good job at responding, not only immediately but effectively and directly to the presentation. And he had numbers prepared. He had numbers. He had data prepared.
And so, Cole, what do you think is responsible for such delay, especially Mr. Cummings taking a week?
But and then harassing the man in court, what you wanting to do? what a man to do?
Already to you.
Y'all sitting down here, you acting like we haven't been watching. I mean, it's just been a big clown show. What do you expect a man to do? I mean, the distractions are just too much. I think, President Weah Juju Man is working for him because you've got all these people that are so brilliant and they're just falling over each other, not able to come up with a response for a whole week. That's crazy to me. Right. I mean, it's just, I wish but hey, there's no rule that says you have to respond immediately. My personal observation and my personal preference is the style that Wilmot Page had. He wasn't perfect, but he was very, very good at these responses. And I think that's something to be said. There's something to be said about that. And I think in the future, hopefully, people will emulate the good that he brought to the political discourse.
Another thing that I saw that Mr. Kune, let me add this, then you can respond. Was for the Liberty Party, they use their chairman, the de facto chairman, if you want to call him that way. For Unity Party, they use junior staff to deliver it.
She's not junior staff. She's the spokesperson. She's the deputy secretary general and official spokesperson.
Right, the deputy secretary general. That's why I said.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a title. Junior staff is like,
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but now when it came to ANC, it had to be the political leader.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, he's definitely not a political leader.
Yeah, what do you think factor in those decisions and why it had to be Cummings, especially when he's in court?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. I think. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Cooney. Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah. Look, Dennis. Before I even comment, one person who was very swift to respond to the president's address. Many people say, "Oh, I'm still nostalgic of the progressive era." I mean, the old Dr. Tipote. Dr. Tipote was very quick to come out with a State of the People address.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was very swift. I mean, as old as the Papa is, his brain is so sharp. And he came right away with the State of the People address, even though I have disagreement with some of the things he said in the State of the People address. But that's the way we want to see politicians operate. But what is clear, though, what you see with these three presentations is actually the admission by the CPP to the Liberian people that they fail. They cannot unify. They can't do nothing. They don't have the ability. They don't have the ability to bring the Liberian people together. They can bring their own set together. So you see that competing drive among themselves. And to the extent that they can continue to compete among themselves, would be, resting and doing some other things. So you talk about Cummings. I don't know why Cummings, of all the people in the ANC, will want to be the one to give the State of the Union. I don't know what went into their political calculation, but the only thing that is constant in all of the presentation is the fact that there is no real substance. No real substance. Take, for example, the Nyongli Kanga wing of the Liberty Party. You responding to the State of the Union, you're talking about a case that is in court. A case that is in court, a case that has been decided by the nation's judiciary. You're talking about law enforcement officers not getting basic logistics. This is the chairman of the Senate Committee on National Defense and Intelligence and Law Enforcement. And you're making complaint. You're the one supposed to appropriate the logistics for these people. You're talking about how a police station don't have this. I mean, it was in Nikutan, we used to say it's too symbolic. That's a symbolic behavior. Symbolic response. I mean, he's chipping the whole idea of responding to a national message. Seriously. And then you listen to the Unity Party. I mean, what all this whining? The wimpish attitude. Oh, the men take our project. Do they want data? I mean, is it really necessary? The road network in the country, the plans for road did not start with Unity Party, Dennis. You know that. Those plans have always been there. I remember way back in the 80s, I don't know about you, I paid $250 for the Ganda Hapa Highway project during the Doe administration. We started hearing about the Monocommunal Road project. These things are plans that the government of Liberia have made over and over. So anytime we complete one, we must go credit JJ Rabba who make that plan. It's so wimpish. It's again another symbolic attitude.
Right.
Come up with why you disagree with the president. Tell us what you're gonna do differently, and stop these little things. Mr. Cummings talking about electricity. The president told the Liberian people that since the CDC government came to power, they have connected more than 125% of customers from 39,000 customers to almost 149,000 customers. He didn't present anything to refute that, but you're talking about, the CLSG not working. Look at the CLSG station that, online that about to open in places like Yekepa, the substation in Rabos Post, in
Mr.
the Mount
President
Coffee,
Sharif.
Buchanan. All of these things are coming close over all of them and
Yeah,
just give a general statement. Oh, because of competence, nobody working here. It was just a disservice to the Liberian people.
thank you. I don't know if that too is symbolic, but while you were talking symbolic in Nugutan, in Dudwakan, we say jocularity if you were joking. So you are not here for jocularity. So these things happen. Carl, I was talking about, why Cummings have to do this instead of he's in court. This is a criminal case, and why Unity Party is sending, their spokesman, Mr. Cummings himself is coming, and Mr. Bwaka was not there. What's going on with this?
I would have thought it would have been nice if the CPP responded, or opposition responded in unison with one voice, and had real, researchers who are at their disposal to put some data together and put stuff together and bring the stuff out. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. I think Mr. Cummings, of the three presentations, I think that the ANC presentation was probably the most coherent and most, but it still didn't meet the standard of a response. It was very non-specific, especially with the amount of time they had to prepare after the speech. That it was unfortunate. It was an unfortunate missed opportunity for the opposition. As far as who they sent, I don't think that matters as much. I really don't think that matters as much, in lieu of the fact that they didn't send one person to represent all of them. These are separate institutions. They're structured differently. Unity Party is an institution, very old institution. We're not controlled by the standard bearer. We are controlled by the executive committee and the convention, right? So Cornelia Topakura being the official spokesperson, she's supposed to deliver messages on behalf of the party. That is her role, either herself or Mo Ali. Are their responsibility. When Wilmot Pay used to address, he did so in the capacity of as Secretary General and later as acting chairman. And then Mo Ali, when he was acting Secretary General, was also a spokesperson. So that's normal for UP. For ANC, I'm not aware of their party structure, how it's supposed to go, but I do know that Liberty Party is usually the chairman is the spokesperson for the institution.
Right, and Mr. Bwaka was not there, and
where was he not?
At the program where this rebuttal
yeah,
was
he's
over.
not. So what I was trying to
my question is, and Cornelia mentioned it. Okay, our chair standard bearer who is not here but has given his blessing. That to me, what do you think is trying to signal here?
I mean, he's not okay. So the way Unity Party is structured, the standard bearer is a politician. He's not the leader of the party. He's the political candidate that the party's putting forward. So in an institution, it's not built around a person. So he doesn't have to be present. His job is to run for office and win. It's not to run the party or always speak for the party. He is the person, or she, whoever the standard bearer is, the person that we're sending to election. That does not mean that they're the be all to end all of the institution. The institution exists with or without the person. That's how Unity Party has been structured from day one. So it's always been, if it's not Barney Sherman, if it's not Wilmot Pay, if it's not Amin Modad, if it's not whoever, it's institutional people who speak for the institution. Right. The political representatives the political candidates, that we send to run for representative or for president are not those same people who are running the clock, mechanisms for the political institution.
I get that.
Other parties are structured differently. The standard bearer does not have to be present to deliver the party's message.
No, I get that. What was striking to me is for her to mention that even though he's not here, but he gave us his blessing.
What's wrong? What's wrong with saying that?
I mean, was he trying to clarify? Why was there a need to clarify that? Isn't that obvious?
I don't know if
Like,
that's a clarification. I think she was just giving him a shout out. I think she's just giving him a shout out.
You mentioned that, but we got his blessing. It's like, is the party divided? Why is it a need to mention that, hey, he's in favor of what I'm going to say?
I think because Liberians, but why we're JMB, it's not election year. This is 2022. We're election years next year. The standard bearer doesn't need to be out campaigning and all in people's face right now. The main idea, I think, for me was that I took that as her just giving him a shout out, saying, hey, shout out to our standard bearer. He's signed off on this message. He approves this message. That's what I took it as. I mean, there's definitely no divide between the leadership of the party and the current standard bearer as we go into our planned convention for this year. I don't see any conflict there. So I believe it was just kind of saying our standard bearer approves this message.
Mr. Kuno, you see it that way?
And quickly, Dennis, just the other day, I mean, we're talking offline, we're talking about some of our norms. I really don't see anything particularly wrong with that because, part of our norm is to always acknowledge, officials, authorities, even if you go in a church, the pastor give you the opportunity to preach. Instead of preaching, you will first go thank the pastor for giving me the chance to preach instead of preaching the sermon. So, all those things are part of our norms. I don't think we should read deep into that. It's just a way of acknowledging the old man. Oh yeah, the old man, is aware of everything we're doing here. I don't think it was like a permission slip that she was seeking. For me, I mean, that's how I understand
it. All right. So let's look at the substance. You've been kind of scratching at it, Mr. Kuni. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So okay. Look at the substance of. Let me start with Unity Party. Like I said, they've been talking like they're crying, and like somebody stole their lunch. National development is continuity. We've made it on this platform. Government is a continuity. They acknowledge the payment of debt inherited by previous government, but when the government implement a project that they may have initiated, it's a crime because they're not being acknowledged. I think that is a childish behavior. That is, I mean, well, whatever plan you put in place, whatever you did as a government, at that time, I want to believe you presented aid, you were recognized for aid, and other people now that are on the stage that doing what they're supposed to do or doing what they are doing. I don't think that there should be an obligation. Anytime a project is completed, we must search in the history book of Liberia as to who initiated that project. Especially so against a party that never really believed in continuity. We all are aware of the fact that a almost finished defense ministry was destroyed because the Unity Party government refused to continue with that project. And that defense ministry was in close proximity of the current ministerial complex. I mean, was there not a way to integrate that building?
It was structurally condemned. This building wasn't structurally sound.
Hold on.
Was there not a way to integrate that building to the complex?
No, it was structurally unsound.
And the information available is that we expended $4 million to destroy the building. There were also information available that people even wanted to change the name of the Samuel Kayando Sport complex. So you should be really appreciative if people are continuing development in the interest of Liberia instead of always this crying, they stole my lunch, I did this, I did that. So how far this Unity Party acknowledgement will continue? 12 6 years down the line, and like I told you, all these roads we're talking about, they were the concept of building this road were long designed before even.
When were they designed? When were they designed?
That's what I'm saying now. The Ganta Harper Highway was a national project during the military regime. Even
That's
people pay. I'm telling you, I contributed nationally to that.
The funding wasn't secured for it though.
No, let's say I'm not talking about. I'm saying the concept of the road and the building of the road.
Got you.
You understand? And even there was a mobilization by the citizens of Liberia to contribute to that.
There was a rally for them.
Yeah,
a rally for that, and I paid $250 for that. So I find that this constant whining somebody stole Unity Party lunch is not really healthy. Then she talked about the cost of education. Come on. It is under the Unity Party government that our educational system was declared a total and complete mess. You contrast that to this period where public education is free in our country, especially for university students, and the government now is putting into place to even pay the fees of high school students and other educational institutions. You complaining that cost of education is high. So that's what I'm saying. They were not really, they were playing too much economics with the truth. You talk about freedom of expression. This government cannot be credited. Again, all of these things are improvement on where we were. But guess what? George managed, we have signed the Table Mountain Declaration that decriminalizes freedom of speech. And you say we're not holding to that? That declaration was there for the Unity Party to have signed it. They didn't sign it. You ask Tiawan Gonglo, he will give that. Tiawan Gonglo is very, very objective on that. So we decriminalize freedom of speech. Then you say, oh no, the people suppressing freedom of speech. They're just playing fast and loose with the facts. And the Liberian people have seen through all of that. So that's for the Unity Party. Go to, like I said, the Young Likanga LPP, Liberty Party, what they're saying. Samuka case now decided in court. Sometimes this Samuka case, sometimes when Liberians talk about it, is there a concern for the ordinary soldiers who were paying their $10 and $15, who because of that criminality that are being deprived of their saving? Has anybody raised that issue? Anytime, Samuka. But you see, that's how we do in our country. Ordinary people, should be discounted. Only the elite. Samuka, by his position, by his status, had the best lawyers in the country. The best lawyers that, ordinary people can afford. He exhausted all of his legal means. And then a sitting senator will say that the judiciary has not handled all of those things. They're playing, fast with the truth. I mean, it's shameful that, these kind of responses can be presented as a party official response to the State of the Union. And you go to comments, like I said, I mean, accuse the president of lying, but also lying by not acknowledging what's happening. All of the substations from the CLSG that being that are under construction or near completion. I mean, you say the economy is sluggish. Well, economic statistics are done comparatively. From where we were 2021 to where we are now, the data is the variables are moving in the right direction. We all here can recall when the exchange rate was going through the roof. The exchange rate has been stabilized for a long time now. The inflation has come under control. Prices are stable. And you say nobody should say that the economy is stable and we are growing. I mean, I wonder what kind of economic sense, Mr. Coming guy, There is not Coca-Cola factory economy. We're talking about national economics. He has to do better than that.
Mr. Cooney is talking tough, Carl.
I think Mr. Cooney and this, repeated rhetoric, most of which is just not correct. Unfortunately, and it's unfortunate to have to respond to misinformation. The witnesses to reality have not all died. We're still here. We're still alive, and we understand what happened. So no matter how many times we repeat things that are incorrect, it doesn't change the reality. The first thing I want to respond to is the report that he's presenting about us Liberian people just wasting a building because we were angry. That's not true. The building was not structurally sound. That building was unfinished. It was in the middle of town when war was being fought. The cost of trying to keep that structure would have been astronomical. So the materials were better recycled. And that was a decision that was made not only by the Liberian government, but also those donors that were helping to sponsor the project. They're not going to waste money for sentimental reasons and spend way more than necessary than it would cost to build a building from scratch. So politicizing that is just unfortunate and divisive, unnecessarily so. And yes, there are some Liberians who do not want Samuel Canyon Doe to be remembered. There are some Liberians who do not want Prince Johnson to be senator. There are some Liberians that got angry that people, were sad about Alhaji Quran. We're not going to sit here and pretend that Doe was some saint. Samuel Doe killed people's fathers and mothers. Samuel Doe illegitimately occupied the office of the presidency. He killed the president to take power. So there's a lot of Liberian people that are not stupid enough to think that this was legitimate power, a legitimate exchange, or not a turnover of power. So not every Liberian was applauding a military regime. So yes, there are some Liberians that want to put Doe in his proper place in history, and they're not making excuses for the tyranny of the military regime that led us to war. So that being said, Liberians have a right to also, if they feel that he's a hero, to honor him. We're not all of one mind, and people can express themselves. While people were grieving and honoring Dr. Krama, others were condemning him and swearing him to hell. This is what we do. To put that on, one administration is ridiculous. There's seditions that don't agree on who's a hero and who's a villain. We are people who are coming out of a very tribalistic, horrible, violent war, and we're still walking around with the trauma and scars. So it's understandable that your heroes are not everyone else's heroes. That's just a fact of the Liberian society. To try to politicize that and put that onus on one political party or another is so disingenuous and insensitive. As far as the rest of the stuff Cooney said, I don't have the energy to respond. I just wanted to clarify that part.
So can I come in?
Go ahead, Mr. Cooney.
Hello?
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
a quick. Nobody is. I mean, I'm not picking and choosing heroes. It's not a point I'm trying to make here, because doing that would be very dicey. But the idea that one administration can come and try to erase another administration, the question is, where does that end? Where does that end? You will start a vicious cycle of us erasing one another. So that's the point to be made. So I'm not picking and choosing heroes. If Doe is a hero to some people, that's their hero. If Doe is a villain to some people, that's their villain. But the fact of the matter is, to even contemplate removing the name Samuel Canyon
But
Doe.
Mr. Cooney, this is not true. That's what I'm saying. You're saying things that didn't happen. Who contemplated it? Nobody in power.
To even contemplate.
Call, let him finish.
No, but he's just repeating the same dishonesty. There's no record anywhere of any elected official, whether it be the legislature or otherwise, trying to erase the name of Samuel Canyon Stadium. That's just not true.
To even contemplate the removal of his name
Private
from a stadium.
citizens have the right to contemplate the removal of his name.
Hold on, Carl.
But then you can't have it both ways. You said they got it right, so I'm talking about it right. I got
Private
the right
citizens
to
have the
comment on it right.
You're blaming
I have the right.
The
I have
government
the
never
right.
contemplated this.
I have the right to comment on how somebody exercised their right.
Right, Mr. Cooney.
But you should clarify that the government never did this. It was always private citizens. There's private citizens that say we change Monrovia name to Dupac.
The culture, the council culture.
But the government is not doing that.
The council culture, that the Unity Party initiated.
Man. If they wanted to change things, they would have been changed. They ain't changed it. I mean, they went out.
Mr. Cooney.
The council culture the Unity Party initiated did not only involve Mr. Doe. Mr. Weah's statue was removed from Monrovia because they say it was defacing the capital. It was defacing the city. So Mr. Weah's statue as a winner of the Ballon d'Or was removed. So these things are there. So what I'm saying is, you don't cherish continuity. The point I'm making is that if other people are advancing continuity, just be quiet. Not because you don't value it, not because you don't treasure it, so other people should not continue, because government is a continuity. This government is paying loans inherited from previous government, and so this government is continuing projects inherited from previous government. For a political party to keep crying that, that thing, that my project is the most shameful and childish thing I'm talking about.
The reason I didn't respond to that, but it seems like I need to, is because the first of all, the government is constantly lying about initiating and starting projects and refusing to give credit to others for things that they've done. This has never happened in Liberia before. Even Samuel Doe, after murdering a president, did not get up and try to claim glory for projects that were begun by that administration. This is absurd. What's happening is every time somebody comes in and does something, the present government comes in, every time something's done, they come in and pretend that they pulled this out of a hat, as if everyone was born in 2017. So it's necessary to set the record straight and say, look, we were alive when this stuff started. Front Page Africa, even the E-Mansion website goes back 2016, 2015, 2012, showing where World Bank was giving grants for this very project. Why are you lying? Why are you lying, DOL, and pretending that you started everything from scratch? Why do you have to lie and claim to do things that you're not doing? Instead of just coming out and saying, hey, we are going to continue this project. It was left here, the money was given, and we're going to finish the project with the money that was given. We're allocating the correct funds. These funds were issued in 2014. We are going to, and this is the second wave of funding, we're going to use it correctly. Instead, they lied to the Liberian people, and they said, in fact, they said that we are project. Stop lying to the Liberian people.
Thank you.
Do what you're trying to do. We're not born in 2018.
Hold on, Carl. Hold on.
Come on, that's why I lied.
Hold on. I don't want us to digress. Hold on, Mr. Cooney. I don't want us to digress on the whole idea of projects, right? Let's go to.
We complete the renovation of the executive mansion. We should give credit to Yaman Boyka and Ellen Johnson Sally that use it as a vessel for corruption for the 11 years. That's what we should do.
Let's talk about the opposition response. So let's go to the claims or the accusation, things that they said against the government, right? Let Mr. Cummings talk about the debt. He talked about how teachers, especially teachers, have to protest. Mr. Zago talked about corruption. Cornelia Cruz talked about even the president is not even going to work, and he has made more songs than. So let's look at these. Let's evaluate what the claims they are laying and the charges they are making against the president. Carl, are they correct?
Yes, I mean those are obvious things, right? So you during Ellen Johnson, even Charles Taylor time, every morning, like when people see the president convoy passing, going to work. Perhaps George Weah is working remote like myself. Maybe he's working from home. I don't know. During Ellen's administration, 7:15 in the morning, if you in Sinclair, you'll see the convoy passing, going to the mansion. And sometimes, she'll be leaving there around 9, 10 o'clock at night. You see the convoy passing. You can stand on Broad Street for 6 days straight and not see the presidential convoy. So people are wondering if the man is going to work. But if you near Jamaica State Junction, you'll see the president going there as if that's the office. I mean, communicate with the Liberian people. Tell them, say I'm working from Jamaica Estates because I'm practicing social distancing from who knows. I don't know what's going on. But Mr. Cooney, you're in Liberia. You used to see the Pape convoy going to work.
Listen, I think we all got a different concept of work. I
thought we were going to the office.
Wherever the president is.
Yes or no question, Pape.
Wherever the president is working. I've never seen a president that worked the hardest in Liberia than George Manning Weah.
Wow.
Going into the communities, inspecting projects, and dedicating projects almost on a daily basis. So
wow.
We all got different concept of work. We all got different concept of work. I saw the president working overtime. I saw him working overtime in Liberia.
Mr. Cooney, the work of the president has responsibility. So when you say we all have different concept of work, what's your concept of work?
Exactly.
Some people concept of work is
I'm saying your concept.
Oh, my concept of work is implementing the projects, doing the work of the Liberian people, doing things that you say you're gonna do. And the president is doing that. The president is building roads. The president is, the economy is stabilized. People are taking pay. You know, the president is doing all of that. The president is opening new projects, construction all over the place. So what you call work? The president will ride around in Serene all over Maria like that, you know, the president working. But more besides, wherever the president is the office of the president. Wherever he is.
All right.
So you confess today that he's not going to his office. He going into communities on a daily basis. How many hours do you think the president works a week?
Well, let me tell you. Unlike the Unity Party that found comfort in squishing themselves in a building that was not meant for presidential work, the president had dedicated almost entire time to the renovation of the executive mansion. The executive mansion, the renovation of that mansion is almost complete. And that executive mansion that the Unity Party people use as a medium for corruption, every year they were putting money there to steal. The executive mansion in less than 4 years is well completed, and the president will be going to the Liberia executive mansion, not to go to foreign ministry and squat under the decks of the ministry.
Hold on, Carl. I want to bring in one caller here to join the conversation before we continue. Let me bring in a caller here. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Sarah.
Sarah Snell, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Question or comment, sir?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, brother. So, what a deception from Mr. Coney. You talk about George Weah being the highest working president in the Republic in the history of Liberia. That's a deception. Back to the issue.
We are still laughing at you.
The reasons why United Party keep talking about projects that were initiated and funding made available is that whatever George Weah does with the project, government name is not on it, but George Weah name is on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, take for example the issue that has to do with the new Redemption Hospital. You guys, his infrastructure team, putting his name on it when in fact he doesn't know how these projects came about.
Yeah.
Can you imagine even a local road that he and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf dedicated, broke ground for George Weah government posting of that road, and they have also done additional groundbreaking. So there is a disconnect between Mr. Coney when he talks about loving and caring for Liberia. You know, sometimes I do question people's motives when they talk about love, and care for Liberia or patriotism. Patriotism has to go beyond the issue of politics. And what you are doing tonight is pure politics. There are a lot of realities that are on the ground in Liberia that you are disputing. And you're talking and you're criticizing other political parties when even the president who delivers the State of the Nation address was reading like the elementary students. So you're criticizing other people and you don't have the cause to criticize the president for reading
Cyrus,
disgracing our country.
Cyrus, what do you make of the opposition response?
No, I do agree, to some extent that they needed, we needed more data to be able to inform us Liberian people what is going on to counter what the president was saying. And that was not forthcoming.
Yeah.
But there are some elements of reality in what they say, that is going on in our country. On the issue of corruption, you have the LACC, a senior personnel of LACC was involved in an act of corruption, yet he's still sitting there. You have a couple of corruption cases, even the guy at the port, yet he's still serving as the port manager, water and sewer. Yes, he's still serving as water and sewer manager.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're going after minute people of the government in the name of fighting corruption, yes, still the main group of people who are involved in corruption are still holding on to power.
Thank you, Cyrus.
But when people say these things and they talk about issue of you not liking, Liberia.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Coney, I think you need to do better.
Thank
Well,
you.
let me do better here.
Thank you.
Let me
you,
do
Cyrus.
let me
I
do
want- Mr.
no,
Kuni,
quickly. Let me respond to him. You know, when Liberian people ready to mischaracterize you, they project themselves to you. They project who they are on you. I never mentioned love on a platform. I never mentioned good on a platform. That is one way he projecting to me. I said, in my opinion, the president is the hardest working president. That's my opinion. You can agree. You cannot agree. Who talk about love here? So stop projecting yourself, working yourself to me. I'm not you. My opinion is that, given the work this president has done, I've observed him to be one of the hardest working presidents in Liberian history. And we have no apology for completing projects and claiming the completion of that projects that are done in our administration. There's no apology for that. We're not going to apologize for it.
And call, Mr. Kuni said no apology. The SKD, as we learned, was started by Turbot. When Doe completed it, we didn't even hear anything about Turbot. He even put his own name on it. So Mr. Kuni is saying when you complete the project, you take it. Why is our Unity Party crying about this?
And they were not even an interim government. They were in power for 12 years. You
Kuni,
cry like you started an interim government.
Here's the difference between the change, the exchange of power in 1980 and what took place in 2018. In 1980, they slaughtered the president and 13 members of the cabinet. It was not a peaceful transition of power. It was not a democratic transition of power. The Liberian people did not elect these murderous soldiers to take over the country. So there's a huge difference there. They canceled they suspended the Constitution and rewrote it, which basically is a complete destruction of the country. When you suspend a constitution, the country is now dead because the country is nothing more than its constitution. And then what happened in 2018 was just an election. It was an election. And the same people, many of the same people who elected President Salif are many of the same people who elected George Weah. That's what you guys don't understand. There was no revolution. Many of the same people who voted for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf also turned around and voted for Weah. Otherwise, he would not have won the election. Some of the people who were in a collaboration with George Weah in 2017 were in collaboration with Ellen against CDC in 2011. This is a fact of history. To act like there was some revolution of some group of aliens that came and took over the country is disingenuous. It's the same Liberian people. The same Liberian people. This is an election. They went and they voted for their fellow citizen to be president. This was not a revolution. This was not a coup d'etat. This was a legal constitutional transition of leadership of the same country. And stop comparing that to a bloody coup. Stop it. That's not what happened.
Thank you.
Can I offer a solution here?
I got your point. Mr. Kuni, hold on.
Just a quick solution. Just a quick solution so we can call a truce on this and CDC stole my lunch. Let us agree. A truce would be anything that Weah failed to do, anything that you failed to complete, can we hold the Unity Party responsible since they are also claiming to be part of the completion of everything that you complete? Can we do that?
That is true there.
That is true.
All right, let me bring in one more caller here. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
I'm Saracen Weah, calling from Boston tonight.
He says Saracen?
Saracen Weah, calling from Boston tonight.
Go ahead, Mr. Weah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis, for allowing me on your show. My question goes to the Unity Party representative on the show tonight. Ms. Cole or Mr. Cole, because I don't know your status. Are you telling the Liberian people yes, it was just blueprint.
I can't hear what this guy's saying.
Yeah. Okay. It's
I just heard my name, my first name being
right.
presented as my last name, but I didn't hear anything after
Right.
that.
Thank you, Mr. It's the Unity Party. Are you saying that the 12-year was blueprint, that they didn't have to complete things and then we have to complete it? That's his question.
So the way the world works, and the way funding works, they don't wait for elections to give you grants. They don't plan projects based on your election cycle. Okay, contrary to what many of you think, because you're used to chaos. We're no longer at war. We're no longer having coups. We are now electing the people we want to lead us. So what is happening is, if you have a project and that project is a 10-year project and it begins in 2014, that means it's supposed to last from 2014 to 2024. And they are going to give, the funding is going to come incrementally as time goes on, as you reach different phases of the project. That's how the world actually works. They're not going to say, oh, because you're having an election in 2017, we're going to hurry up and finish the project. The donors don't care about our election cycles. They're looking at and expecting that no matter who is president or representative, that government continues. It is extremely dangerous for us to continue on this path of mentality of regime change. There has been no regime change. Regime change implies a revolution. What happened in 2017 was a democratic election by this very same citizens that elected the previous administration. The country is stable. The country is stable. We criticize George Weah because we don't like the way he's proceeding with his leadership, not because he overthrew a government. No matter how much Jefferson Koji them walk around and try to think that they're revolutionaries, they're not revolutionaries. These guys were elected democratically. And the messaging that CDC is putting out there is confusing young people.
Thank you.
You cannot go through a constitutional transition of power and act like rebels. It's wrong. It's the wrong message to send to the citizens. It's the wrong message to send to our children. There was no revolution.
How they
acting like
they're acting that they use the language revolution. If you listen to they're foolish former information deputy minister, Eugene, whatever his name is, which is a disgrace to his county and all of his ancestors, used to get on the air and be talking about the revolutionary. You're not revolutionaries, clown. This is no revolution. This is a democratic, peaceful, legal election. Stop saying it's a revolution. The country did not die in 2017. The very citizens that elected Ellen, some of them, many of them, turned around and elected Weah, and they will turn around and elect someone else. And nobody's going to die because, they voted for someone else won. I live 20 years. We live in a country that has elections all the time.
Thank you.
Y'all stop this revolution nonsense.
Just quick 30 seconds, Dennis. Listen.
Then you can't tell more stories here.
No, I'm not telling no more stories. Just 30 seconds. Look, Dennis.
Go ahead. Because I'm not getting where this whole concept of revolution and rebels coming from. Because
that's the language they use. The word red berets and the revolution, the Revolutionary Congress, the Democratic change. You guys are not rebels.
But what does it have to do with what we are discussing? That's what I'm not getting.
The caller called in and he made a statement about whether or not that Ellen didn't finish projects, as if to say that Ellen had a regime and it was a different country, and that the donors and the finance ministry and the projections of budgets are all based on who the president is. And that's not how the world works during times of peace and normalcy. That's not how we living in normal days. Oh, the war over. Oh, y'all get over it. That's not what the world is supposed to be like anymore. We're at peace now.
Go ahead. 30 seconds.
Look, listen. It is an acceptable practice that we hold the government of the day responsible for whatever occur during the time of that government. That is standard we use. We don't hold the government of the day responsible for what happened in past government. So really, they wimpish. I mean, all these cry about somebody stealing some kind of loan that was prepared 2014. It just, I mean, I don't know what they find that reason. If Weah didn't complete the road, you will hold Weah responsible. He didn't build no roads. When Weah is building the roads, we will praise him, we will dance for him. He can sing 500 music so long he's building our roads, so long he's sending our children to school, so long he's building parks, so long he's doing everything that he got to do for our people. We don't care what kind of music he sing.
So in your own term, Mr. Kuni, what is the opposition state of the nation, and how accurate are they in describing President Weah's assessment?
They're not accurate at all. They just they're all over the place, contradicting themselves. And if you go by the opposition response, to be honest with you, since George Weah became president, nothing positive has happened in Liberia. That's the kind of doomsday scenario they project, which is contrary to all of the facts. So for them, there's nothing positive that has happened in Liberia. Even where they want to acknowledge, they go and learn to discredit. For example, look at the Unity Party, Nyambuli Kanga Liberty Party. The man who talking like in Songana Kobo Shop, talking about acknowledging the revenue sharing arrangement with local government, but then going there to kind of demean it. Look at Unity Party people trying to accept the concept of the bicentennial, but criticizing it as not inclusive, and even telling you what they mean by being inclusive. So they're all over the place. For them, since the CDC government took over, nothing. Liberia is just a dead country, which is not true.
Carl, are they offering any alternative pathway? What are they saying? Because you're saying this is the president blueprint and it's wrong. Did you hear what they're going to do differently, or what alternative path that they have to realizing where we want the country to be?
So that's not typically what the purpose of the rebuttal to a State of a Union is. The purpose of the rebuttal is not to state the way forward. So that question, unfortunately, is not, I don't think, is well placed. The purpose is for them to either debunk, agree, or, just respond to what is said. So that's not the precedent for these responses. It's not to say we're going to do this. It's not a campaign speech for the opposition.
But they are contrasting, right? They are saying, hey, you lie in this place. The president put forward his policy agenda, and they are disagreeing with that policy agenda as a way of moving things forward. Right. So what are they saying differently from what they think should be done?
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I think that if they had presented numbers and they had presented all of the data that they should have presented, I think that you may not be asking that question. But I don't believe that I've ever heard a rebuttal to State of the Union in the United States, in the Caribbean, or anywhere that I pay attention to politics, even in Ghana, where the opposition is coming in with plans. It is always specific to what was said by the president. Right. So even here in the States, if you listen to, rebuttals to Trump, it's never, oh, we're going to do this differently. That's not what the intention of those speeches are, or those responses are.
Mr. Kuni,
let me just come in there quickly. Why the response to the State of the Union may not contain a campaign, platform and this and that, but at least you owe it to the country to tell the country how they call it, your governing vision. How are you going to govern the country? You want to be president? At least tell us. For example, if the Democrat responding to the Republican, they will tell you what Democrats stand for. If Republican responding to Democrat, they will talk about a small government and other things like that. How this policy didn't fit their concept of small government, vice versa. But these guys, they get talk. Nothing. They didn't even give us an opening into their governing philosophy. Nothing.
That's not the purpose, though. I mean, you guys, that's that's unfair to say, somebody goes to, it's like saying somebody came to a wedding reception, they didn't bring birthday gift. It's not the purpose of the response.
Thank you. Let me bring in James Davis on the line. Mr. David. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Question or comment?
Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Coney. When I listen to Mr. Coney, he almost like my own county representative, Bon County,
and also listen to Koguno County representative too. They were crafting when Joe Weah was lying. Say that you build 100 or so units near completion when you go there. Then I even put it through there. The only thing in Bogan is my county. Then I put through there, they get roofing it. So Mr. Collins like, I pay Mr. Collins children school fees, they sit down there, clap. Then he children go to school. That's how you do it tonight. So my problem is that the play Ellen Johnson took the country from, any president who are getting hard time, who are getting hardship from taking that country from that position. The play where that country was at from that beginning, where she took that country from. It was very difficult for any president. People like they're coming from war, children from war, for all the then demonstration, all they want them protest, everything. It was very difficult for her as a lady to control them until even though we had United Nations forces all around the place. But to them it was the best solution for Liberia at that time. But now CDC, even though we don't have UN there, but Liberian people are tired of fighting. They don't even want to do. That's why you want to do protesting and put tear down there. And you saw this government. You see how they're attacking one another. Joseph now say he want to speak out. See how Joseph attacking the minister of sport. You can sport. You listen to them. Both of them attacking one another.
Yeah.
You're looting the places. I don't know what kind of youth play. The deputy minister will go to loot the place, no glasses there, no toilet, nothing. They say I gotta tell you the truth.
Thank you.
And what project is the project that we are now we want to see is the Pala Island and the coastal highway and the 14 county, the football stage will build it. These are the projects here now. That's the project Eddie fund for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Quickly.
Hold on, Mr. Kune. Don't jump on everything.
But they can come and me.
Because we have because we have more callers coming. I want to stay or disagree with Carl about the rebuttal, because the president is outlining his plan for the next year, so that when the opposition come to rebut, they are going to give an alternative plan. So that is not out of the ordinary when it comes to Sonans.
Is the State of the Union about the plan, or what is happening and what has happened transpired in the previous year?
What has happened in the previous year and what his policy agenda for the next year to move things forward. That's what the president is doing.
I didn't hear him have an agenda for the next year for them to respond to.
Right. No, he doesn't have that.
So what are they responding? They're supposed to be responding to his speech.
It doesn't preclude them from saying, hey, this man gives nothing, but this is.
Yeah, I mean, that's an argument. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I wouldn't, I've always seen responses to what's actually said.
Let's go to Teddy Yankun. Teddy, you look like CDC man. Tell me if you're not. Teddy Yankun, you are live.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, how are you? What was your question?
I said you are sedition, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm a sedition.
Okay, go ahead. You have one.
When are you?
I'm the lion.
Oh, great. So, go ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, I support the president and I support the party. Moreover, I'm part of this movement because of the cause. This cause, we in the 40s, I'm 46, I hit my 40th year past November. We are in the 40s. Our parents sat us down back in the days and told us about the malpractice about past government. So we understand the intricacy of this complicated society. And we understand which of the leaders that bear in God use his life, personal life, dedicated his life for a nation. And he continued to do this. With this modern time, we see our country behind, and we try to emulate our country, our nation with others. We visit other countries around. But what's so sad, we're seeing couples of educated Liberians, intelligent people, but on the other side of them, they are very hypocritical to this society. I know that, Koi is in the studio there. She remains stagnant to her support to Joseph Boaga or whatsoever person, but she don't
Teddy,
appreciate anything of
Teddy, can you speak? Teddy, Teddy, can you speak to the opposition response to the President's State of the Union?
Obviously, they always say negative things. You know, they always say negative things. From all the previous ones to this present one, they seen that the president was reading like a very elementary student or what have you. You know, but you know, sometimes the president is the same president. Will be president. Oh, he read it, the other speech very well. This, that, and but maybe the president try to also talk in your mouth because your lack of substance.
Thank you.
Your lacking of things to discuss on. So the president gave you all for you. But what happens is that what is in the documentation, in the document the president read, that's the most important. You understand? And this nation going to rise under President Weah.
Thank you, Teddy.
They have to work cohesively with this administration.
Thank you. Let me take. We have more callers, Teddy. Let me take some more calls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get Emmanuel Soma. Emmanuel, you're live.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing excellent.
Thank you for inviting me on your show. First of all, let me say hi to your two guests in your studio. Let's be frank. If we want for Liberia to move forward, we have to be factual. I listened to the sister in studio talking about Ellen Project. The Ghana
I never mentioned Ellen Project. If you're going to mention me, be truthful.
From Talbot administration, the low-fat road, I think Ellen Project, they started from the Talbot administration. Ellen received over 14 billion in aid in cash for 12 years. Let Ellen tell you one road has to go from forest to pavement. Let Rwanda. Rwanda was destroyed just in Liberia. With less than 13 billion in aid that went to Rwanda, see Rwanda today. Look at Dubai.
Emmanuel.
Dubai was
Emmanuel, let's talk about the opposition responses to the State of the Union.
Making up stories.
When it comes to roads, I listen to Deputy Minister Samira Wulukoli. When it comes to roads in Liberia, from 1822 to 2017, the total amount of road it paved in Liberia was 70,000. From 1822
All right,
100 years.
Emmanuel.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's respond to the opposition responses to the State of.
The opposition response, it just tells you that the entire opposition, they are taking their mind, body, soul, and spirit. Just what's going on in the opposition. These people are not normal. They are not normal. In 2023, Joshua will be running against a bunch of demons.
Thank you.
There have been no part of Liberian history that opposition will just be suing each other from one court to another court. The CDC was in opposition for 12 years. Not one day, one opposition political party went to court.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, none of that talk.
One second. The party acting like a rebel group. For 12 years, Madam Sani lack of journalists, she lack of activists, political prisoners. 5 years ago, President, we are president. There is not one political president. Opposition making clear that they carry guns to protest. They carry guns to protest. President, we are not jail anybody. There is not one opposition or political prisoner in his regime.
Thank you. Thank you.
They call it a rebel regime.
Thank you. Let me take the last caller here, Mr. Kasali Dobo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja, and thanks to your two guests in the studio there. As per the response from the opposition on the President Annual speech, Mr. Ja, you will note that this famous bicentennial that we've been speaking on all along, that all of us, every Liberian, regardless of which political party you come from, we were all in favor of the bicentennial to go to Liberia. But see how it was up there.
almost everyone who went on our Providence Island to observe the Boston Center had to wear a red beret. So tell me, are we all, red beret people, even if you have an opposition? And the president said it was decently observed. How can a program like that be used up as program that was decently observed? When you tell everyone who has come to the program to wear red beret, whether you are sedition or non-sedition.
Mr. Double, Mr. Double,
yes, sir.
Who told people to wear red beret?
The leadership of CDC, of course.
How you know that?
Mr. Thank you very much. Mr. Let's say, for example, you have the president wearing purple suit. He didn't have to tell people to wear purple suit. He followed his footsteps.
Okay.
If Nathan Maggie of all people, Jefferson Koji of all people is going on the Providence Island, he's carrying 10 presidents behind him with red beret. What do you expect other people to do? Almost everyone who on the island was carrying red beret. Watch the video. Look on the bridge, on the new bridge, you'll see everybody who on the Providence Island. Almost everybody had red beret.
Yeah, somebody had to distribute those. That's true.
Celebrate the program. She wear red beret. Are we all sedition? And then we go to the security situation. The president lied on the security situation.
Very much so.
Last year, the general minister, the minister of finance were on radio, including Minister Natana Makedi, told us that the rape cases on the docket were over 1,000 rape cases. Over 1,000 rape cases. Was not even being handled. The president said the country is secure, the country is good, the country is that, but yet we are having rape cases. The senator just yesterday were in session. They were saying that they don't want to come to light to confront people because they are afraid that Zogo will run beyond it.
So, Mr. Double,
the senator are afraid of Zogo. So then who will protect us? How secure is the country then?
Mr. Double, do you think the opposition adequately made their cases against the president's State of the Union?
I will say yes. I will say no.
Quickly, 30
yes,
seconds.
In the sense that for me, with the United Party, the response they made, especially the individual they have responding to the president's address, the deputy secretary, it did not show that much importance to me. I wanted a standard bearer or someone second to him in command to have been able to address the issue and give us some substance that people was listening to. But then when you have the deputy secretary general again, with no disrespect to her, but to see all about setting, setting like Liberia.
Be careful.
Buttress, something like that. You need somebody of hard caliber.
Be careful.
And on the other hand, the ANC was very, very late. The timing was very poor. You can come to react to the President Arnold's speech 1 week after the speech was made. Listen to it when the line are already on in the system. It was late.
Thank you.
You see? All right.
Thank you. Mr. Kune, I know you wanted to respond first. Go ahead.
No, look, you see, you listen to all. I was in Monrovia for the opening of the bicentennial. By the way, the bicentennial is still going on. It's not a one-day event. It's a year-long, activity. The opening of the bicentennial, for somebody to suggest that people were forced to wear red beret. Where do Liberians take these kind of stories from? That event was a celebratory event where we display the culture. Liberians came together from all backgrounds, and the international community was present. Now, if one or two people go there and wear red beret,
one or two.
Yeah, but look,
one or two. Come on, Mr. Cooney.
Even if people wear red beret, there was
Let's
no
respect
mandate.
ourselves and be truthful.
There is no mandate anywhere that before you go to the Providence Island, you must put on red beret. It even make no sense. But now we got to come to the point the way people dress, what they wear, all those things.
Yes, you know why? You know why that's important?
No, it's not important. It's
I
not
would,
important what people wear. It's
okay.
not important.
If the
And
symbolism is important.
it's not important. It's not important. I wear why I feel like
Mr.
wearing. I
Mr.
dress
Queen.
like this because I feel like being like
So
this.
let me say
And,
this.
Yeah,
I'm coming. Let
yeah.
me make my point.
Okay. When
So,
you're done, I need to come in.
for a program, a national program in which the entire country was represented, and for somebody to say people were made to be forced to red beret, and you push him. How did he know people were, the issue and eat it for people to wear red beret because we are wear proposed suit. Even if we are wear proposed suit, it means everybody in the country must wear proposed suit. That's your choice to wear proposed suit or not to wear it. So I mean, these are the less substantial things that go into the
Dennis, he's
national
just
dialogue.
repeating himself. May I come in?
You know,
Hold on, let him finish.
He just
let
finished.
me land. You will come
Hold on.
in. You will come
Wait,
in.
Paul, you will come in.
Then you go to the other man who talk about
Anyway.
Madame Salif inherited the country. The country came from war. Madame Salif benefited from
I gotta go.
the most generous international
I
assistance
can't stand this anymore. Y'all be nice.
Hold on, Call. Hold on,
No,
Call.
And she did
Anyway.
very little. She did very little.
I can't
And
sit
they
down
told my
loud
brother
tonight.
to
Just
speak
be
the truth.
saying lies
That
and
one of
just
the
You will come in, Call.
it's not about me coming in. Why allow your platform to be used
you
like
gotta
this?
listen. The few
No, Call, you got to listen. Let him
you
end,
gotta
then you
listen when
come
you're
in.
talking. I listen. Madame Salif,
Clearly don't.
Madame Salif inherited the most generous international assistance ever to our country, and she did the least. And this is one of the truth Ambassador Weah ever told. This is one of the squander opportunities that Ambassador Weah ever told.
Now he not
And you
go to
want to
different
compare
topics.
it.
You see how y'all behave?
You want to compare it to
Let me
everything else.
address this red beret as a national issue, and I need to address it now. Mr.
There
Cooney,
was
you are
no
not
national
going to,
order.
you're not
No
going to
one
dominate
passed
this
an
Mr.
order
Cooney.
for people to
lie.
wear red beret.
There's too many young people, impressionable young people listening to this, and as a public policy person,
But
I'm going to step in
there
and
was
say
no
exactly
government
why
policy
it's
for
wrong.
people to wear
I
red
am going
beret.
to say exactly why it's wrong, because I can't be on a platform where you're misinforming young people who have very, open ears and open minds. And as an elderly person, an elderly member of the community, when you speak, young people are listening to you. These lies or this misrepresentation of civic responsibility and the responsibilities of government is going out to a lot of people that this needs to be corrected. And I'm really sorry that this platform that I respect so much is being used to misinform young people. The first thing is political parties, their agenda and everything is running the country. But when you become president, you are president for all Liberians. That event was sponsored by taxpayers from all political persuasions. You do not use tax money to promote your political party at a national event. You cannot have the imaging, the messaging is wrong. When Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president, even when Samuel Doe was president, you did not see, even when Charles Taylor was president, even during the war, you did not see this blatant disrespect for citizens that are not in a specific political party. This is not the Republic of CDC. This is the Republic of Liberia. And it's government officials that are paid by taxpayers to do, it's their bounden duty to go there and be inclusive and representative of all citizens, especially at a national event. The entire event was marked by literally hundreds of people in red berets and CDC regalia. It was an embarrassment. And not only was it an embarrassment, it was really wrong policy. It is not what the governments do. When you win a democratic election, you are president for everyone who voted for you and everyone who did not vote for you. You are president for everyone. You do not enter national events that are paid for taxpayer money and use it as a battle cry opportunity for your political party. It's irresponsible. It's divisive. And that is not what leadership is. You cannot be president if only Seditians voted for you. A lot of non-Seditians voted for Weah. You cannot be a president unless people outside of your political party also vote for you in Liberia. That's how the country looking. Plenty of people that are not in Unity Party voted for Ellen. Plenty of people that are not in CDC voted for George Weah. And when you go out as a national government, you represent the nation. You put the country before your pocket. And until this immature government understands that they're responsible for all citizens, not only the tribesmen or the partisans, George Weah is president for everybody in Liberia. And when you stand up as the president of everyone in Liberia, you take off your partisan hat and you put on your Liberia hat and you be president of Liberia, period. That was
empty
you're
outrage,
not going to cut
empty
me off.
ranting.
You're not going to cut me off because young people are watching the show. You're not going to normalize this. You guys, people are not going to normalize this hyper tribalistic partisan nonsense. It's wrong. It's divisive. We're living in normal days. Y'all put on your put on your patriotic hats and be Liberians.
Be Liberians. Patriotic, but what you say?
There's not patriotic to take care of all Liberians.
Outrage.
You have to.
It's an empty outrage. It's empty ranting that has no basis in fact.
It is not only CDC people paying taxes.
Okay,
it is not only CDC people voting. It is president for all the citizens in the country.
Okay.
Dennis, it is an empty outrage. It is empty ranting that got no basis in fact. That's it. I mean, these things are motivated by
what is empty outrage? What's empty outrage? That people should
because the government did not pass any instruction for people to wear red beret.
So where red berets came from? How was it coordinated? That was just coincidence. And let me tell you something.
People wear red beret.
Let me tell you. When I work for government, when we work for government, if we have turned stupid, if we have turned stupid and be wearing unified hats to national convention, we would have been fired. We would have been fired.
Do not cut me off. People wear red beret every day. Even the urban boys wear red beret.
People or any other political party in power wearing anything but Liberians when they took power. You guys are very dishonest and divisive. And that is why we're not going to be elected. Because y'all too divisive and full of hatred. Yes, we have all the Liberian people. Nobody will vote for y'all again the way y'all treating the citizens. Who's going to be elected divisive people? Nobody will be elected the way y'all treating Liberian people.
You will be defeated.
Thank you. Well, that's Tough Talking Thursday, and definitely we are talking tough. Mr. Kuni, let's look at history, right? Where when Tubber was in power, it was a total involvement. Even though this was not legislated, but people wanted to identify with the president, people wore that. When Tubman, that was the long tail coat suit. Now Weah is the pro-pole.
Which is fine.
So when people go somewhere, and I really did not watch that event. I was trying to find this on YouTube to see if people were actually wearing red beret. But I don't think it's out of the ordinary for a lot of people at that gathering to go in red beret, right?
It is out of the ordinary.
That is.
Right,
I was at the event.
Yeah, so let me finish. Mr. Coney, let me finish. So what I'm saying here is I wouldn't be surprised if you have a good number of people wearing red beret. It doesn't have to be ordered by any authority.
Dennis,
for them to do
let me come in. The red beret had the CDC logo on it. I want you to show me a picture, any picture from history. Please, no, let me finish my statement. I want you to show me a picture. I challenge everyone in the Republic that's listening to this. Show me a picture at any national event that is not campaign related during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's administration where people wore UP regalia to national events. Y'all produce that right now.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is not a standard for Liberia. She's one of Liberia's
Show me during Thomas time where people did it. Show me during Charles Taylor time where people did it. Show me during Samuel Jones time where people did it. Show me any previous.
All right. Let's go back to our argument. Let's go back to the purpose of the show, which is the opposition response to the State of the Union. Let us not drift too far. Mr. Kune, you will talk, but I want to take you back to the opposition response. And our time is fast spent. We should be concluding on this now. I want to bring in a few comments here. We want to respect our people that are listening to and writing. This one is from Mohammed Donso. Mr. Kune, you blame the Unity Party for all the cancer culture, but our kindergarten president continues to reward the former standard bearer of the same Unity Party foundation with taxpayers' dollars. And why our kindergarten president is reluctant to order an audit of the so-called Unity Party-led government, but always blaming them for all the financial mismanagement. William Paisley, I wish you could be in Liberia to help him in the process. Stephen Slack, caller, Weah reads like elementary student, but he is the president of Liberia and your president, and there is nothing you can do about it. Few more callers here. How that old man sits in your mirror. Oh, okay. Joseph Kokro, without the benefit of having a copy of speech in advance, I wonder how does one give a rebuttal promptly after said speech? We at Focus on Labrador, we did that. We were able to analyze it after it.
Same way women used to do it.
Right, so we can do that. Few more comments here. Vavi, this lady is not honest. She's being very deceptive by saying 7:30 a.m. Madam Salif goes to work.
Okay.
James, the U.S. rate is 1 to 156 Liberian dollar as the U.S. rate. Joanna Winger, this man is the epitome of dishonesty. Lord have mercy on us.
Mr.
Kuni is indeed very interesting. We need the WhatsApp number to call, Mr. Jai. We wish to call. Yes, Campbell, I put in the WhatsApp number. Mr. Kuni's argument and analysis are way off, no doubt. However, call has to stop the condescending and subtly demeaning undertone laughter. It is unprofessional, though. Her argument are somewhat truthful. She's not without bias, though.
I'm a human.
Okay. Michaels, when you criticize, you recommend and suggest a way forward. Mr. Kuni, your response to our viewers who are commenting.
So firstly, what we want to do first is to push back against the disinformation. I was at the January 7th event, national in character, participation, everything. The dominant color at that event was red, white, and blue. That is not to say there may not have been people there that wear red beret, but for somebody to insinuate that it was a government order, that the government ordered red beret to be worn there, for it to be a partisan event, is just completely false and erroneous. Completely false. And I must say, Madam Salif is not a standard of everything Liberia.
There's no president in the history of Liberia that has allowed their cabinet officials.
You see, she not start interrupting me again.
Hold on, Carl. Mr. Kuni, respond to the comment. Let us not go back to the issue of red beret.
No. If it is presented there, it gotta be refuted. You know, you can't say, just go.
No, you did already. You know, go back to the same thing. Let's go to the comment.
So the whole idea that we sit in America and we don't know what happened in Liberia. Like I say, I just from Liberia, and the opposition really clearly has nothing to show. They got nothing to offer. You see it in their responses. I mean, nothing substantive. It's all generalities and it's all platitudes and promises of what they will do. They got no record of doing anything. Ambassador Joseph Yuma Bwaka was 12 years parked in the garage. All of our the problems there we still have it today. Alexander Comey has not worked in any public political environment before. I mean, look, there is sometimes our people like to believe that once you work in corporate America, you do this thing. You know, most of the things people got their standard operating procedure. When I go to work, I do what I'm told to do. Comey was not an innovator of anything at Coca-Cola. He did what corporate Coca-Cola wanted him to do. He has never worked in any public sector. He got no public sector experience. And so, I mean, he can be credited with anything public. He has not resolved any conflict. Look at how he resolved the last conflict, and see how he's being dragged to court. So these people got nothing to offer. They can't hold together. They ain't got no common message. CPP is supposed to give us one message. They give you a different. We're waiting for the Musa ability wing of the Liberty Party on a response. So this is not a serious effort, Dennis. And this is why we'll continue the meeting that the president is going to defeat the opposition in a one-round victory, and they will be left holding it back.
Thank you. Let me add one more comment here from William Dunbar. He said, Mr. Jai is an incompetent journalist.
Come on.
We're getting it from all over.
Yeah, I mean,
that playing was tonight.
And please remember, this is Tough Talking Thursday, so our panelists are
talking tough too.
Go ahead, call. Please respond to our our audience.
So I don't even know what the comments were saying. Honestly,
Okay,
I think
one of the comments here.
Mhm.
Suppose you are a shameless man, you aren't objective, and then the other person say your laughter is condescending.
I mean, I always hear people say I'm not going to respond to the person that was insulting Mr. Cooney, but I will respond to the person that's trying to tell me not to laugh. I mean, shut up. Seriously, don't tell me not to laugh. That's basically, they're basically telling me to shut up. This is who I am. I smile, I laugh, I hold no grudges. I'm not an angry person. I am very, I like to laugh. But more importantly, this concept of people feeling that people are being condescending, or when people get into an argument, they'll say things like, oh, you think you're better than people. That is a deep-seated psychological sense of inferiority. Anytime someone does something, if you feel that the person is being condescending towards you, it's because you have yourself in a position of dissent. You have your person in a position that you feel that someone would look down on you. I don't look down on anyone. I make my statement, I share my opinion, and I do so with confidence. You should receive my words with equal confidence. Don't ever feel that someone's putting you down or being condescending, or someone's laughter is somehow demeaning you. I have a right to be happy. I have a right to laugh. I don't mean any disrespect. And if you feel belittled by my laughter, that's a problem that you need to resolve within yourself. There's no way a person can be condescending to you or look down on you if you don't allow it. That should not be something that's in your vocabulary or your psyche as a human being. So the way I carry and conduct myself is how I feel about myself. If that offends you, that's not my problem, that's yours. It's never my intent to offend anyone. And also, we talk tough on this show. I have a lot of respect and regard for Mr. Cooney. I think, it's mutual. And I think that when we come on here and he's performing his CDC juju, I have to attack him and respond, equally. Do I think he believes 50% of the stuff he says? No, I don't think Mr. Cooney believes 50% of the stuff he says. 150%. He does not. And there's no such percentage as 150%. It's either 100% or it's less. So to get back to what we're saying, Mr. Cooney, it's theatrics and he's doing his party thing. If you take everything this man is saying seriously, then you don't recognize how actually intelligent he is. He knows better than much of what he's saying. It's rhetoric. And so we respond with equal force, and none of this is for anyone to be taking, out of context. That's the purpose of the show. So you don't like harsh exchanges, there's many other programs on FOL you can enjoy.
Right. And to Weah, where we believe this mentality that when people are arguing, I should hold their throat or cut them off because you're not supposed to be doing this yet. No, this is now how I operate. Let people talk, and this is tough talking.
Exactly, it's tough talking Thursday.
Man, that's what the Thursday is for, tough talking.
Yeah.
And part of the exchange and the noise. This is how the show is designed, and you don't see it on other shows, right? FOL has many other shows, primetime Sunday, and every show has its own style. And this is what we are producing. That's why you only get it here on Focus. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go to our Tabata session. Keep tuned.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to go around the room again and listen to the Tabata of the week. This time, we start with Carl.
And you must please pronounce it correctly. 2 times. 2 times.
Hey, see, you can't tutor me in the crew and you want to criticize. So today, oh my God, there's so many Tabata. The greatest Tabata of the week for me. There's many, but the greatest one was the Sis Julie Angie Traditional Ladies press conference. It was disturbing for me to witness traditional women come out and discuss a book they have not read that is irrelevant to the lives of Liberian people. When you have had rapes and murders of women and girls, they don't come out and speak. We've got sex for grades, we've got sex for shelter, we've got sex for jobs, we've got all kinds of vile things happening to the women of Liberia. I have never seen the traditional woman hold a press conference. A woman was gang raped and murdered. Tabata. Gang raped and murdered, and Liberians were outraged, but the traditional women did not come out and hold a press conference demanding that the security sector find the perpetrators and bring them to justice. But they're coming out because of they say, hearsay, unsubstantiated say in some book that none of them read. For God's sakes, man, that was so shameful. It was the shame of the century.
Thank you. And if you are watching, please write your Tabata of the week. Mr. Thomas Awayi say everything in Liberia this week is nothing but Tabata. Mr. Kune.
Yeah, like Carl said, man, look, the Tabata, you know, some week we can be struggling for Tabata, but then some week the Tabata can come so plenty, you don't even know where to pick, you know. But really, I mean, you know, Dennis, you know, like, you know, I'm an old head, like people say, you know, my experience is with the old progressives, you know. And, you know, back then, government was using the code to muscle the progressive. Government using the code to muscle the progressive, to muscle the opposition. Let's put it that way, because not every opposition was a progressive. But what is unfolding in our time now, that the opposition is using the code to muscle themselves. You know, it's stunning. It's stunning. Now it is Yure on Cummings, Musa on Dillon, and I understand they on Musa. I'm here wondering, is there a pending lawsuit against Ambassador Boyka? I don't know. You know, so I mean, I think this is one of the most embarrassing Tabata I'm watching witness in Liberian political history.
Dixon Gonga, I think this is complete Tabata he's talking here. He says, so today you are telling all we can cost Marcos on Thursday show without you controlling anybody for their view, right? So the people you heard discussing and arguing, they did not use any bad language, Dixon. That's complete Tabata. Maybe that will be my Tabata of the day.
Oh,
what I read the rape case. There is this 13-year-old who was sodomized to death.
Yes.
Then there is another 13-year-old who was sodomized by the neighbor. And what happened was when they asked her, the guy took her to a friend's house and just like killing her. But when they asked her, the guy told her, say, well, if you say this, I'm going to kill you. So she didn't want to say it. They had to take her to the police. The parents, the grandparents had to take her to the police. That's the only time the police was able to get the true story out of her. But guess what? The police charged the parents or the grandfather $30 for them to log the case. So they have to pay $30 US. And
it's normal back when.
Right. And the Tabata for me is how this has been normalized. That people are paying this and it's like, it's not even news anymore.
It's still happening.
And with a case like this, that this grandfather had to pay $30 US. And
somebody raped his grandchild, he got to pay to prosecute. This is, and it's normalized, you're right. It's sad.
Normalized. So the normalization of this kind of thing, to me, that's Tabata. Henrietta Morgan said, my Tabata is we still have hope. Councillor Tiawan Gongolo.
But I'm not Tabata then.
Robert, my Tabata here is about the chapter. It's about chapter 13 in the most talked about book in Liberia. Joanna Winger say the whole country now is Tabata. Elliot June says, good show. Elliot, what's your Tabata? Mayfield Deco, my Tabata of the week is to see the gender minister speaking for almost 1 hour on the book when she
Yes, I
has
didn't see.
on anything ripped against our children. Flomo is seconding that. Say, my Tabata is gender ministry speaking on the book about the first lady. Young girls are being raped and the gender ministry don't talk. Jeff Rees, my Tabata is that the whole country is confused. I don't think the whole country is confused. It's the power that be, the people that control. Well, let's see what Tavina, my Tabata in the highest order is gender ministers making speech and irate because of this book, yet mute on SGBV issues. That to me, I think that carried the day on the Tabata of the week.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, thank you so much for coming and keeping the discussion very spirited. Let me get your closing comment. Let's start with Mr. Coney.
Well, as expected, I know the opposition will have come completely empty-handed. Besides the generalized statements about the state of affairs, mostly untrue, failing to recognize the accomplishment of the people of Liberia under this government, their continuous politicization of everything in our country, and moreover, their lack of any vision, any alternative vision for the development of our country, but yet and still very vocal in criticizing everything that this government has done. In as much as for me it is expected, I just think that it is a disservice to the whole multi-party democratic system in our country. I'm very much heightened by the fact that the president continued to demonstrate to the Liberian people his ability to improve their welfare, to improve their conditions. And we are very confident that at the end of this term, and with the re-election of the president, by the time the 12 years is over, Liberia will be in a much better place than what this opposition, whether combined or individually, will offer. I think the Liberian people, they are saying clearly through that. People are just motivated by raw power, no governing philosophy, nothing, no plan, nothing. They're just fighting. We hope that they remain in court. They keep suing one another. Why, Judge Weah continue to do the work of the Liberian people.
Thank you, sir. Carl?
I just think that we need to revisit what this term patriotism is and who the Liberian people are and who our loyalty should be to. Our loyalty as a country should be to our fellow citizens before it is to politicians or before it is even to political parties. If your political party is doing anything to harm fellow citizens, if your political party or your leaders are doing anything to harm your fellow citizens, you put your fellow citizens first. Before your sycophancy, before anything else. And this is something, we have a tribalistic culture. You join a particular political party, you now treat it as a tribe. You put your ethnic group sometimes before your fellow citizens. This is very destructive. This led us to war. It leads us to chaos. My hope for Liberian people is that we elevate ourselves beyond those kinds of group thinking, tribalistic mindsets, and start to be more patriotic, start to think of our country as all of its citizens and try to work for the benefit of everyone. Liberia has very few citizens for the resources and land mass that it has. If we pull ourselves together and we work together collectively, we all will benefit for ourselves, our children. It shouldn't be if I get for me to increase, you must decrease. That should not be the mentality for us as we move forward. That in order for me to increase, someone else must decrease. That should not be the thinking. If we don't graduate from that way of thought, we won't progress. We won't do any better. The crab in the barrel mentality has to stop. And you can't get into leadership and close the door of progress to other people. It's wrong. It's just simply wrong. Leaders are supposed to bring people together and unite. And that's what I want to say this evening. And I hope that, you know, one or two people hear that.
Thank you so much, Carl, for that. And thank you, Mr. Coney. We want to thank all of our viewers for watching and staying here with Focus on Liberia, where we talk tough on Tough Talking Thursday. On that note, we want to say again, we are all Liberians. And although we may differ in the way we want to see our country go, the process, the steps we take, but we are all Liberians. I think we all mean well for our country, even though some people may be confused, some people may be very egotistic or wanting something for themselves. But the overarching goal for all of us should be to make Liberia the glorious land of liberty. Why? Because we are all Liberians. On that note, we say
good night, everybody.
And God bless you.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.